Having experienced the BMW M School as my first foray into performance driving, I've previously had the pleasure of paying my hard-earned cash to be steeped by brand enthusiasts as they wax poetic about why their brand of cog-turning and piston-pushing should be my cup of tea. And I gotta say, as evidenced by the numerous BMWs I've owned over the years, BMW had me. Even after a dip into the land of Benz, those familiar with my channel know I returned to the Bavarian automaker. But why? Was it because I drunk the brand Kool-Aid and I told myself all these years I'm a Beamer man? I mean, I've owned several. I've got the jacket, got the watch band, I've got the concept artwork that BMW sent me in the mail one day just because I'm one of them. I mean, I've been telling myself I'm a Beamer lover all these years. Would I? Could I? Dare I? Yes, I think Lexus has hypnotized me. Let me go to voiceover and I'll explain. So why does Lexus, Toyota's luxury arm, host a driving school? Well, they aren't alone in this offering. The aforementioned BMW, Porsche, and other brands do it too. And essentially the day adds up to a lot of fun for automotive lovers who want to go fast, learn about car control, and experience an automaker's wares. Often these days are a mixture of education, camaraderie, and a little trash talking. A great chance to test our skills and get an earful of why this automaker loves the smell of their own stuff. Now, we'd be forgiven for writing off an event like this to craven capitalism, but wait, not so fast. After arriving early on the day, it's not long before we meet the man plastered all over the marketing materials for this event, our headliner for this horsepower extravaganza, Scott Pruitt. No, not that one. This one. 5-time Rolex 24 winner with countless victories across a long racing career, 22 in Lexus products alone. He's a Motorsports Hall of Famer, and he has the goods on the tarmac. Scott offered up a warm and hearty welcome, pre-framing the day and expressing no small amount of enthusiasm for the Lexus brand and its performance cars. At that moment, a high-pitched warning siren was starting to go off in my brain. Could this be real? Is this guy, this brand, these cars, are they really all we're supposed to believe they are? As good as BMW? Remember that question. We'll come back to it. With spot-on efficiency, the hosts organized our large group by breaking us into 4 teams, and we would all rotate through stations throughout the event. Autocross, skid pad, long track, all interspersed with classroom sessions led by various instructors. And that was the second difference between this event and others I've attended. The sheer multitude of talent on hand to provide a great experience for us. A cadre of around 8 driving experts attending to our every question, coaching us throughout the day. Out on the autocross circuit, the team to which I was assigned was first up, and would be only the second group in the country to drive the new LC500, the IS sedan packed with the same 470-some-odd horsepower motor found in my LC. This would be fun, but that high-pitched siren was going off in my brain again. Hold on. I figured it out. I know what they're trying to pull. A massive automotive company scatters a bunch of its cars around a track for the day, and then they feed me some buffet lunch. They pay a literal race car driver to prance around in his fancy racing suit and tell me how great their cars are. I'm supposed to drool all over myself and become a fanboy, and I guess they think that I'm a lemming consumer, and I'll be walking all over town wearing their brand emblazoned all over my clothes. Idiots. That's awkward. Anyway, our group is ready to head out on our autocross heats, and I'm starting to feel cracks forming in my formidable German wall of BMW and Mercedes fandom. The hospitality, the friendly efficiency, the genuine product enthusiasm and racing experience delivered by a ridiculously accessible instructor team. And it was about to get worse. I'm strapped into the LC500 for the first of my autocross laps, and standing near the timing box, among the coaches providing guidance, is Roberto Guerrero. Seriously, Formula One, champ car, Indianapolis 500 Rookie of the Year, holder of numerous speed records and no stranger to the podium. He's standing at the end of the autocross course, and it's time for my runs. I roll off to post a pedestrian 39 seconds for my first time. Okay, my first go. It's early, new car, new course that I don't know. Time to get to work. Over 6 successive runs, I drop my times every single run, terminating each dash in a brutal braking stop within the timing box. followed by an urgent gaze out the open driver's window to Roberto. Studying his face for approval, I wait for feedback.
So now we can start pushing a little bit more.
Okay.
Smooth and aggressive. A little bit more throttle, a little bit more brake. Nice and easy with the steering, okay?
Yeah. Braking a little faster coming in, maybe?
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Okay.
And then releasing, so just a little bit more aggressive, but keep the smoothness, okay?
Wonderful.
Keep breathing.
All right, thank you.
6 successive runs with me dropping my time every single run, with Roberto freaking Guerrero giving me driving feedback, live, hot off the track. I end up posting 2 times in the 32s for my last 2 runs, which were among the fastest posted that day. Not the best, but in the zone. And what's more, Roberto knew it. Here I am, another driver he's never met, among dozens he's coached that day, and he remembered I had posted the 32 on the previous run.
Great.
So keep doing the same. Smooth and aggressive. Keep your eyes up and nice and easy and keep breathing.
Super.
All right.
Thank you.
One more time.
Thank you.
Last run of the day, and it's my best. Aggressive on the start, longer on the accelerator, and harder on the brakes. I'm smoother than earlier, and I'm trusting the car, working on what is always one of my 2 challenges as a driver, looking farther ahead on the track. The run feels good, and I come to my 6th hard stop and check the times as I look over at Roberto.
Yeah,
so that's good.
Absolutely.
And from then on, all you need is practice, practice,
Yeah.
practice. So
Thank you so much.
For coming.
Love it.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Absolutely.
Now, he's surely given rudimentary coaching like he provided me that day to thousands of drivers at these events. He wouldn't know me from Adam if we passed on the street, but he showed his genuine passion for driving, racing skill, and teaching others. That enthusiasm and passion is what Lexus wants us to feel from one of its representatives, and to that end, they have succeeded. So let's gut check what really happened here. Well, Lexus made me pay them to drive their cars for a day and listen to an 8-hour marketing pitch. Then they survey me and learn about how my buying preferences may change. And I smiled and laughed every minute of it. Brilliant. So why did it work? Well, first, freaks like us love to go fast on a track and hear internal combustion turn back pressure into gloriously resonant mechanical flatulence. We pay large sums just for this pleasure, but the cars have to be good, and more on that in part 2. The second reason this whole dog and pony show works is, like any other event we attend, the way it's executed has a lot to do with how much we enjoy it. And Lexus just does it right. This is an event that's extremely well staffed, with drivers and personnel there to attend to our every need and answer any question. If you want your brand to be viewed as 5-star, the experience of you slathering your branded goodness all over my naked consumer body better feel good. Beyond the great customer experience, there's another way to get me as a consumer and an automotive enthusiast to stand up and take notice. And for that, we return to Scott Pruitt. Pruitt, as we've established, and based on his experience, is a race car driver. And once I was there, I learned something else about him. He's also a race car driver. I'll explain. See, I was half expecting Lexus to wheel this guy out and tell us to buy more Ovaltine, spend 10 minutes with us, and that would be the last we'd see of him. Want to see the wizard, kids? Well, there he is. You've seen him. Now go fill out your survey and get out of here. We got another city to hit.
All right, you guys ready?
Ready.
All right, here we go.
No, Pruitt was there all day. He gave hot laps on both the autocross and large tracks. He spoke with the larger group, spent class time with each subgroup. He was funny, generous, engaged, cocky enough to show you he stood on podiums, self-effacing enough that you want to chat with him. He's a race car driver. What's more, Pruitt shared details throughout the day about his time with Lexus and working on various development teams. And that, sports fans, is when this Beamer man felt his soul leave his body. Pruitt shared with the larger group and later one-on-one with me details of various teams he'd worked on with Lexus, including the steer and throttle-by-wire development for the LC. See, for today's modern cars with all their electronic control systems, if they're to have any feel or soul, they need to be based off of analog references. We don't want them feeling as disconnected as an Xbox controller. What is the analog for the steer and throttle-by-wire system in the LC? Scott Pruitt. And this was after he spent an estimated 20 to 25,000 seat hours in the development of the LFA. Sure, thousands of other people helped develop that car and others for Lexus. But in choosing Pruitt to not just be a fast driver around the track, but to speak about his passion for the brand, Lexus has shown us that they actually care about their cars being engaging. I came to this event wondering if Lexus was a motorsports company. I left proud to drive an example of their obvious commitment to performance. Speaking of performance. I love my LC500. In the short time I've had it, it's earned the Head Turner Award for me, as it's ratcheted up more looks and compliments than any car I've ever owned. It thrills me to look at it, to drive it, hell, even to take care of it feels like I'm cherishing a prized piece of art. Prior to owning this car, Lexus just sort of meant luxury and poshness to me, but certainly not performance. I think the world was fairly stunned when the LFA debuted in 2010, and that car challenged our assumptions of what Lexus wanted to be. This car doesn't seek to break records or be a track toy. What it is a GT car which is visceral, while being luxurious and showcasing just enough exotic appeal as to never fail to feel special. So booking the Lexus Performance event was initially about feeling what my car could do on an open track. Knowing I'd never track mine, I wanted to experience what this car could do. I didn't know that that day would upend everything I thought I knew about Lexus being a performance brand. During the aforementioned autocross sessions, I walked away extremely impressed with the IS500. With limited autocross experience, my last full chat turn about the cones was in a Gen 1 BMW M2, and I loved that car. It felt lithe, and it certainly had more performance to give than my driving skill could ask for. My other BMW track experiences with cars like the M4 left me, dare I say, unsatisfied. Even with my marginal skill, I never felt the M4 was light enough to feel agile. It was just a bear to handle. Perhaps it's the punchy torque curve that comes from a twin-scroll turbocharged high-output engine. It could certainly be that I'm just not that good a driver. But in comparison, the IS500 with its smooth power band coming from the V8 found in my LC, plus a suspension that seemed very forgiving for an average driver like me, just felt confidence-inspiring on the autocross circuit. It feels eminently tossable and doesn't give the sense that you're going to lose the rear end. It just tracks and turns in. And it was then I started to worry. Was I starting to believe that Lexus makes performance cars? Later in my day would come multiple sessions in the LC500, with the first task being a sprint to 80 miles per hour and then a full lock stop. It's a common track event staple meant to show us how well a car stops, and also give newer drivers a sense that there's usually more braking a car can give than we find in everyday driving. Since we'd be doing triple-digit speeds today, that's a good heads up to give drivers who might need the psychological assurance that there's no such thing as braking too hard. My thinking after my several full-power braking sessions in the LC, utter confidence and shock that this 4,400-pound muscle car comes down to zero quite quickly when you want it to. Front rotors that are nearly 16 inches in diameter don't hurt. Once we'd established the LC can stop quite handily, we enjoyed a beautiful day doing circuits of the Road Atlanta track. Camber changes, switchbacks, S's, and a super fun and sphincter contracting elevation change under the bridge at turn 10B, all combined to make this track a blast. And the car? The LC feels fantastic. The power comes on evenly, and even as an intermediate driver, I never felt driven by the car. Quite the contrary. Even in a lead-follow scenario, which likely made me look better than I would have otherwise, since I could mimic a good racing line, the car delivers plenty of feel. In only one area of this track do I wonder how lighter and punchier cars might fare, and that's turn 7, where I consistently would fall behind due to my lackluster skill. The problem with the LC is in catching up from this turn, I'd often want a bit more power to get me back to speed as I entered the back straight. Again, if I was a better driver, I'd carry more speed into the straight to begin with, but it serves to demonstrate that not having a turbo or one less second on the 0 to 60 time hampers the LC in a track situation. The end of my day was a hot lap on the long track with one of the instructors. My poor camera work aside, this was a blast. My instructor showed why he's the pro and I'm the sad amateur, with the way he piloted the RCF to the edge of every apex and just tossed the car around the track with expertise. On the back straight, he had none of my issues getting the car to speed.
110, 120,
Nice.
130,
Yeah.
142. We'll save the brakes.
Well done.
And as we cooled down to head back into the pit, my head went to paraphrasing the farmer in that beloved film. That'll do, Lexus. That'll do.
Oh my God, crazy. In the 90s.
With the elevation change?
Fold. Come on, man, that's 3 in a row. So, is Lexus a performance brand? Yes. Do they make cars as exciting as the German ones I've owned? Yes. Look, I'm at best an amateur at this, but this experience has been fairly watershed for me. My last Japanese car ownership was more than 25 years ago, and I wouldn't have considered Lexus in my top 2 or 3 brands to buy an exciting car from. Enter the LC, a car born from the bravery of Akio Toyota, nurtured by the brilliance of Koji Sato and the Calty team, with a little help from a certain race car driver, and now my buying habits have been altered. In building cars like the LC and hosting a driving event like the one I've just experienced, Lexus proves that their brand can be simultaneously associated with luxury and performance. And that's more than good enough for me. Thanks for watching.